We're gonna take this thing on a cruise. I'm gonna tell you why this is the most comfortable all-around sports bike that you can buy. So let's get into it.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
The kickstand sensor. Okay, so we're on the Busa. This is a completely 100% stock Hayabusa. Fun fact, this is actually the first street bike I ever rode. So from start, I got my motorcycle, permit. So I got the permit, and then I wanted to start riding. So the only option was my dad's Busa, and this is still his Busa. He just doesn't ride it. And then I was talking about buying a sports bike, so he was like, just keep it at your house. I was like, okay. So I started out, I was in high school, I was a senior, I believe. And it was the very beginning of senior year. And so I rode around for like 6 months, I think. And then I scheduled my motorcycle riding test. And I just pull up on this bad boy. And the motorcycle guy running the testing was like, can I help you? And I was like, yeah, I'm here to do my motorcycle endorsement test, riding test. And he was like, on that? And I was like, yep. It's like, this is what I've been riding. And so I think he thought that I was going to fail. Just by his judgment, how he was acting. And so I did it. I passed it without any problems, obviously, because I've been riding dirt bikes since I was little. And so I was very familiar with clutch and work, clutch control, and slow riding. And so it was all kind of second nature. And especially with practicing on this thing, I got pretty good at maneuvering at slow speeds. And so I passed it. I will say the only thing I had trouble with was the tight cones. This thing is, Hayabusas are long. So I had a little trouble with the cones. They said if you touch the ground with your foot, then you fail. And I remember I just had to stand up on the pegs, counterbalance like that, and stick my foot out at one point. And it went okay because I saved it. So that's the story behind this bike. My dad's had it since it was brand new, and Hayabusas were like the top dogs back in the day. So I think 2008 motorcycles, you'll think Hayabusa for the fastest one. My dad commonly said that people refer to them as man killers, and I can see why, sort of. They are very fast, top speed wise. I've went on a closed course, and I've had this thing up to 168 miles an hour. So, and also since this is the first actual moto vlog, street bikes, I'm going to talk about the other bike I had. After riding this for almost a year, I bought my cousin's bike, which was a 2006 R1. And it was a track bike, so it was all done up with the GP shifting. So instead of 1 down, 5 or 4 up, it was 1 up, 4 down, which was cool. Had a really nice exhaust on it. Had hot pink wheels. I'm gonna post a picture of it. And then I ended up getting it wrapped. But this bike had I remember when I sold it, it had 48,000 miles on it, and it almost caught on fire one time. The exhaust shot flames because the baffling blew out of it because I was riding it so hard on this back road. The rivets came out. They were already about to fall off, but the back pressure caused it to basically explode off the back of the bike. And then it started shooting flames because there's no baffling, and it was extremely loud. It set off car alarms. Which the R1 was way faster in acceleration speed than this Hayabusa. Because I remember when I first rode the R1, I hammered it like I can hammer this, and the wheel popped up first, second, and third gear because I was just hammering it. And I was like, wow, this is fast. It was geared also, so top speed wasn't as fast as that. I had that one up to like 130 something on that same course. But it was super uncomfortable. And so that's one of the things that I want to talk about with the Hayabusa. Handling is pretty good. It's so long and heavy. It balances well though. But one thing I will say is a downfall for the Hayabusa is cornering. Corners are just not... It's kind of scary taking corners on this thing, because on the R1 that I had, it felt like when you drop into a corner, the bike just kind of fell with you. And it wasn't like... You kind of feel like this... You kind of feel like you have to force this thing to turn. And I've had a couple times where the back tire slipped out from behind me while I was taking a corner, and that never happened on my R1. It felt really planted. This bike is not as planted as the R1, but I don't think this bike was made to go super fast, top speed, I mean really in a straight line. But with that being said, it's more maneuverable than a Harley, and I would say it's a nice in-between middle ground comfort-wise between a sport bike like an R1 or a CBR, something like that, versus a cruiser like a Harley. I mean, it's big. This bike's big. It's heavier than most sport bikes, but it's extremely comfortable. You're not bent over as far. So like in the R1, it feels like you're like hunched over the whole time. This you can like set up on. You still have control. It's extremely comfortable to ride, and that's like the biggest thing for me, because like I went on a couple rides on my R1, like 2 hours, and like my back was killing me, my butt was killing me, and I've ridden this thing, like we just go to car meets a lot, and I would take this, and I could ride this thing all night, like 3 or 4 hours straight, and not have a problem. My back would hurt a little bit, because I mean you are bent over. But other than that, like this thing is so comfortable and the power is so smooth. It's like ridiculous. And I can't go too fast because I got the dirt bike coming on, and I'm afraid the wind's gonna catch my visor and rip my head off. But I will do a little pull here once it straightens out. Show some acceleration. There's a straightaway up here somewhere. Here. I was hoping to get a nice motovlog in when the trees, before they like really change colors, but we're past that point now, so I really don't want to hit a deer. The rut's almost here. Or it's here already, but it's like 70, it's like almost 80 degrees today. So this is why I wanted to get this video going. Introduce motorcycles, street bikes to the channel. And I will say, I mean, if you're looking for, let's say, if you're looking for a bike that's fast and sporty and looks really good, but you're not wanting to rail corner, like this is a good touring bike. And I think, I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but on the insurance card, I haven't looked at it in a long time, but I'm pretty sure it's listed as a touring motorcycle, because I remember when I went to insure my R1 when I got it, it was gonna be like $170 a month, and this was like $70 a month. So insurance cheaper. It's freaking great on gas. Not that that even matters, I guess. It's a motorcycle. But this has probably been my favorite motorcycle that I've ridden. And I've ridden Gixxer 600, wasn't mine. The only bike that I've had is the R1, but I've ridden the Gixxer 600, CBR 600, and the Hayabusa, and I rode a 2004 Electroglide Classic Harley, one of the baggers. It was my grandpa's. That thing handled horribly. It rattled like crazy. It rattled so much, in fact, like all Harleys do, that the shifter linkage just came off one day. So the actual shift lever just dropped by, because the Harleys have those big footboards. The shifter actually just dropped underneath the footboard, so I couldn't shift. So I was stuck on the highway in like 5th gear, and I had to like bog it down to turn off the highway. And eventually some other Harley guy came, and he had a freaking toolkit in his Harley, of course, because Harley. But this bike, the only problem we've had with this bike, because I put a lot of miles on it when I had my permit and when I first got my license, this only has 12,000 miles on it still. And I remember at about 6,000 miles, the starter went out on this bike. And in comparison, it is kind of a pain to do any work on this bike, because you've got you've got to take the freaking fairings off, and like they're big. It's a big bike, so the fairings are huge, and that's a pain. But other than that, this bike has been awesome. Never any issues with it. So like, the power is so smooth. The one thing I wish it did have was an exhaust, like one of those shorty exhausts by the foot pegs, but it's got the big old ugly dual exhaust that run out the back still. But it's kind of nice being quiet at times. That is the only thing that I don't like about this bike, is that when taking off, like the power, I'm barely twisting the throttle, and like it's clunky. And when you change gears, if you don't get up in high RPMs, it's still clunky. But if you get up into the RPMs, it was still a little clunky right there, but not horrible. And I really wasn't that high in RPMs, but I'm not trying to go fast on deer country. Just gonna nice cruise out through the forestry here. All these leaves. Oh, it's still pretty back there here. If you also haven't seen my motovlog, best motovlog helmet for dirt bikes, check that video out. I'll have it in the ending card. That shows up at the end of the video, along with some other video of my choice. I'm not sure yet. But this mic, I'm not sure how it sounds with this direct wind, because usually I'm not going 40 miles an hour on my dirt bike. I'm not sure how it's going to handle it with this helmet, but on the dirt bike, like the sound is very encapsulated in this helmet. And I don't remember the mic name, but it's in that video. And I know for a fact that if it was with a full-faced helmet, that it would sound really good. So I'm guessing I'm going to have some wind noise I'm going to have to battle. But I don't think it's going to be that bad. We'll find out though. That's why I've been keeping the speeds pretty slow, to keep the wind noise down also. But it's freaking awesome. So I'm just going to cruise now. Kind of got through everything I want to talk about. This Hayabusa, awesome bike. Not sure what they're running now price-wise, but I know he paid a lot of money for it when it was new. And I'm sure they hold their value pretty well. So what we're riding through right now, this is the Morgan Monroe Forestry in Indiana. It's very pretty. Not as pretty as some of the people's views that they have in different states like Utah and Colorado, but for Indiana, this is what you get. Some hills, some trees, and that's about it. The best thing about the forestry here is the roads are all in very good condition for the most part, and there's a lot of them that are freshly paved with blacktop, and it is a really awesome ride. So if you live in Indiana or near Indiana, come check out this forestry if you ride bikes. It's perfect. Extremely low traffic. One of the popular spots where I live is Brown County. There's too many cars. I mean, Brown County, Indiana is like Nashville, Tennessee, Gatlinburg, like all those places. Like it's too busy. So in Brown County State Park, the roads are nice, but there's cyclists everywhere. There's people sightseeing everywhere, so the speed limit could be like 40. They'll be going like 10 or 15. It's just an absolute mess trying to have a good motorcycle ride. Unless you're like on a Harley trying to go super slow and just old man cruise, which is fine. But if you want to get out and rip and be safe for the most part, this is probably the place to do it. So right now I'm on my way. We're going to be setting up our stands for the weekend because it's supposed to be a nasty cold weekend. So we're heading to my grandma's house and gonna get our stands put up. And hopefully kill something before gun season starts, because once gun season starts, people just start blasting. It's like every guy in the whole state comes out to the forestry and they're like, I'm gonna take my shotgun, I'm gonna go into the woods, and if I see a bush twitch, boom. And so after gun season, after opening day, really, the deer are just not, they're done with it. So opening day of gun is next weekend, the 18th, I believe. And so that gives us, we're gonna go all this next weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, probably all day. And then the next weekend is opening gun, and we're gonna hunt that weekend as well. And then after that, probably gonna call it quits unless we just hunt my backyard, because there's deer every single day out there, always. And the neighbor said that the deer just chase bucks, or the bucks are chasing all the does like crazy through the yards. And so we're surrounded by woods, so might as well. So we're getting relatively close here, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut the video. I like to maintain mostly privacy. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the first actual street moto vlog of the channel. I'm gonna be doing more next spring now that I have this bike, or if we get more nice days, we'll be doing that. But that's it. Thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button, drop a comment if you want to see certain videos. I'm open-minded. Any motorsports is welcome on this channel. Stay safe. Peace.